Now, I want to turn to Iran because, of course, over the past few weeks, we have just seen extraordinary scenes of courage from the people of Iran and also so much devastation. I mean, the scale of the violence deployed by Iran's security forces against protesters has been staggering. Thousands of people have been killed since demonstrations began, many others detained or tortured. Josh, what are your thoughts on where to from here? What do you expect will happen in the future? Do you think it's inevitable that the regime will fall?
Well, the first thing to note is, I mean, just the staggering degree of just human carnage. I mean, we don't know the exact number of deaths, but at this point, Iranian state television. I mean, so that's the lowest possible estimate. They're now saying about 3.5 to 4,000. I mean, most estimates now have it at least 20, 25,000, possibly more than that. And that's horrific. I mean, you're talking here about a government murdering its own people for having the temerity, for having the chutzpah to say that actually our economy is terrible. There is a water drought. Our currency is losing value relative to the dollar and other Western currencies there. We just want to drink water. We want to eat food. We want to not starve. Stop spending money on these foreign terrorist organizations. Stop funding Hezbollah in Lebanon. Stop funding the Houthis in Yemen and on and on and on there. This particular uprising was really sparked not by concerns about the hijab or anything. That was a 2022 protest. This was really an economic protest. And a regime that murders potentially upwards of 25, God knows how many, 30, who knows how many thousands of its own citizens because of a desire to want the government to provide for their economic needs. It's just staggering about the degree of evil. Now, is the regime going to fall? Look, they've been around now for over 4.5 decades. They took power in the revolution in 1979. They have been through these sorts of uprisings before. This is arguably the most severe uprising that they faced in their 4.5 decades, at least going back to 2009, the so-called Green Revolution that Barack Obama did very little, if anything, to support at the time. I will say, Gabriella, I think that President Trump has a red line to fulfill at this point there. I'm not a big fan of red lines. My foreign policy is very much in accord with President Teddy Roosevelt, who famously said, speak softly and carry a big stick. That's my preference. But Donald Trump drew a red line pretty clearly, actually, multiple times on True Social. He said, keep on going. Help is on the way. We will not tolerate the regime slaughtering its own citizens. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that red line has been crossed. It's been eviscerated, trampled over. And the question now, ultimately, is that red line going to be enforced? And Trump is now getting a lot of advice. He's getting a lot of possible plans presented, tossed his way from his close military advisors, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see what he does there. And I don't pretend to know exactly what some sort of response would look like there. But at this point, if for American deterrence, if nothing else, to say nothing of trying to inflict damage on this most cancerous of regimes there, I think some sort of American response really is required.
John, what do you make of that? Do you think that Donald Trump should take action?
I agree with absolutely everything that Josh just said. I think that this regime is horrible. It's evil. It has long overstayed its welcome. But history tells us that the worst tyrannical regimes often survive longer than you ever think that they could. And if they're willing to gun down citizens in the street, they can stay in power for a long time. So I hope that the administration finds an effective way to get its thumb on the scale on behalf of the people of Iran and help to bring about the destruction of the mullah's regime.
Absolutely. Look, before I let you go, I just want to bring you President Trump's comments on Marco Rubio. He said that Marco Rubio will be going down as the greatest Secretary of State in United States history. Let's listen.
That the Democrats probably wish they didn't do that. And Marco has been fantastic. Marco, stand up, please. You have done a great job as Secretary of State. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State. And Scott, and we have Susie, who's the first female Chief of Staff, and she's the best Chief of Staff, too.
We've been seeing a lot of Marco Rubio on our screens, and you can really see how much confidence Donald Trump has in him. Josh, what's your assessment of Marco Rubio?
I think Mark Rubio has had a historic first year as Secretary of State. I mean, the sheer number of peace deals that America has orchestrated across the world, everywhere from Thailand and Cambodia to India and Pakistan to Rwanda and the Congo, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Middle East. I mean, basically everywhere they go, they're getting more peace deals. And then you kind of couple that with some of these staggering operations. I mean, the Nicolas Maduro operation, which everyone recognizes was the brainchild of Marco Rubio, this was staggering. I mean, this was an incredible reassertion of American Western Hemispheric dominance. So I think Marco Rubio is absolutely soaring right now. I mean, he's already the first man to serve as both Secretary of State and National Security Advisor since Henry Kissinger famously served both those roles there. Look, if I were a betting man, which I'm really not, but if I were a betting man, I would be long on Marco Rubio for the 2028 Republican presidential nomination. I'm not predicting that. I think J.D. Vance is still the favorite right now. But it seems to me that Vice President Vance is somewhat stagnating at a moment where Marco Rubio is profoundly ascendant. And don't discount the possibility that maybe, just maybe, Trump could actually potentially endorse Rubio. I mean, most recently, he's been talking about J.D. as his anointed successor. But, I mean, you said it, Gabriella. Trump clearly loves Marco Rubio and clearly has a ton of trust in this guy there. So we'll see. It could get very interesting.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if he endorsed Marco Rubio either. John, what do you think?
Well, I think we have to wait until Trump's term is over and let a little time go by to see what the cumulative effect of all these foreign policies turns out to be. We'll leave that to the historians, but I agree that Marco Rubio is doing a terrific job. I know Marco a little. I've worked with him. I think he is extraordinarily competent and a genuinely good guy. Everyone who knows Marco likes him, and I think he does a great job of representing our country.
John Hinderaker, President of the Center of the American Experiment, and Josh Hammer, Senior Editor at Large at Newsweek. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gabrielle.